Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about someone who, once again, we haven't talked about before, but sort of similar to the Illumation and Think Before You Sleep situation. I'm familiar with these guys. You might have heard over the past couple of hours that the YouTube group known as Watcher is taking the free content that they've had on YouTube for some time now and putting it behind a paywall. Since this goodbye video that they released a couple of hours ago, everybody's been talking about it, and to me it really just didn't make any sense as to why they were doing it. I know they explained the reason in their 14-minute video, but once again, it just kind of really didn't make sense when I was watching it. From what I understand, the main reason as to why they're going behind a paywall and they're going to another subscription service that they created themselves is because, in essence, the content that they were making here on YouTube was too expensive or really pricey to make, and they wanted to find another way that they could keep doing what they were doing but not be so reliant on YouTube advertisement. This is probably because YouTube can be very finicky with how they regulate what videos get ads and what videos don't. But here's a short clip of Ryan talking about it right now.
Well, it costs a certain amount to make content in the way that we do it. We try to put things on the screen that we feel adheres to a certain level of quality that you would find on, say, a Netflix or something like that. But in doing so, it does cost a certain amount. Like, for example, a Ghost Files episode. First, we have to travel to the location itself. We have to pay the location fee. We have to pay freelance staff that comes to help us shoot that when we're shooting in the studio. We have to pay for the studio to shoot the actual episode in. Then we have to pay for post. Before that, we also have to do the pre-production of the episode. And when you add that all up, we're talking about an end of a season that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm not sitting here complaining that is the bed we've made. Everyone has different missions they're marching towards on YouTube. Ours was to make a television show. And, you know, over time, you start to realize, like, hey, maybe television shows aren't meant for YouTube. Perhaps we should find a different place that's better suited to the content that we're making and can support the dollar amounts that we're putting into each of these episodes so that we're not constantly running around trying to find sources of revenue to support the model.
So, I mean, like you said, their production is trying to reach the levels of what would be on like a Netflix series or something that you would see on television. Now, I understand that, and that's all well and good. As a matter of fact, I myself am really in support of content creators trying to push their limits just to create the best possible content that they can. It's not only good for YouTube as a whole, but I also like to see people succeed. That being said, as I was watching the video, I don't really think any of their reasoning made sense to me, simply because when you take the video and the reasonings behind why they're doing what they're doing, and you contrast that with the reasons people don't like what they're doing, this whole situation could have been pretty much solved by answering one question. Why do people watch you, and why are people fans? I mean, if you guys didn't know already, like, they have a huge following, 2.13 million. Definitely nothing to sneeze at in any era of YouTube, especially not this current one. And all of those fans, I feel like, and of course, I'm not trying to speak for an entire group of people, their frustrations with the video and what's going on can be summed up with this comment from the video itself. It says, to be honest, the overly produced content isn't the reason that you got a big amount of supporters. It's the chemistry between Shane and Ryan that makes your content watchable. 20K people agreed. I definitely share the same sentiment. To be honest, the only reason why I know about Shane and Ryan in the first place is because of their previous work on BuzzFeed. If you guys didn't know, BuzzFeed Unsolved was like this YouTube version of like the First 48, where they go to certain places after talking about it and discover why places are haunted, the history behind it. It can get really creepy, and I'm not gonna lie, when I was watching it the first time, and this was years ago, I definitely used to get scared, for sure, mostly because I was watching it in the dark like an idiot. But the different comments and jokes between Shane and Ryan would also offset the heavy tension that surrounded the topics of the video, and it would actually help. But also, that content was so good that I feel like they could have made it production wise a little bit worse, and it still would have been a hit. Now back over to the Watcher situation. I mean, you guys don't have to go super duper creative with every single episode. Look, man, not everybody's gonna be Mr. Beast. I'm sure you guys know that, but at the same time, not everybody's gonna be the next NBC, not everybody's gonna be the next Peacock, or even ABC for that matter. And the only reason why I'm bringing them up is because they made a reference to making their shows like television shows or something that you would see on TV. But here's the thing, it's different for YouTubers. Now, I don't watch television anymore, but when I did a few years ago, the only reasons why I would watch TV is just because I wanted to see what was on and I knew what to expect. And hopefully I'm not wrong in saying this, but I feel like most Americans, when they turn on the TV, they know what to expect, whether that's from the news or whether that's from late night or wherever. These multi-billion-dollar corporations have multiple streams of revenue, so they can offset the cost of having high production. It's different for YouTubers to do that because, once again, not everybody's going to be the next Mr. Beast, and even then, these other companies are making way more than he is. On top of that, when you go to watch your favorite YouTuber, I'd say it's a little bit more personal. Of course, more for some than others because, you know, you have those like parasocial relationships that are really freaking weird. But like for the normal viewer, it's a little bit more personal personal, right? Like when you watch your favorite content creator or something like that, you've been watching them for a couple of months, maybe a couple of years, and yeah, you know what to expect, but it's more like they're having a conversation with you and they're showing you something, and it also feels like you can relate to them more rather than watching some dude on TV talk about a war that's going on halfway across the world. It's also just better to keep stuff on YouTube for this generation. More people in this generation are attracted to YouTube than TV. So when you're trying to make your content like a television show, I understand that you want to put your all into it, but at the same time, if it's costing too much, you can dial it back, because like I said before, just by answering that one question, why do people watch us, this whole thing could have been avoided. The reason why people watch you is because of your personalities. That's how you know you have something special. So having a quick sit down discussion video with your audience and saying like, hey, I know we've been doing this content and it's been high quality for some time now, and it might be what you've come to expect, but we've got to cut it back a little bit, you know, just to save some more money. Maybe you save the high quality stuff for like a YouTube original or even a Netflix special. You probably could have done that. So that was kind of the reason why it just really didn't make any sense to me when I was watching it. Here's some other comments I like talking about the video. You guys do realize you have an international audience too, right? How am I supposed to pay $6 for a service when after I adjust my currency, it costs more than groceries? Your American audience can barely afford it. How will your international audience afford it at all? Did a single critical thought actually go into this decision? Or did you think that your entire audience was American or something? 100 AUD a year for something that was originally free is a bold move. Like many are saying, it's Ryan and Shane's dynamic that we loved watching, not the high production. I'd hate to see you guys fall like Top Gear. The old Shane would have wanted us to pirate Watcher content. Listen, I love Watcher and the content that they put out, but respectfully, get over yourselves. I don't think your audience of broke college students is going to pay for another subscription service just to watch content that they've been getting for free for years. Horrible move. That comment also actually goes on to reference Bravest Warriors, which was on Verve and was behind a paywall, and that's the reason why we don't talk about that stuff anymore. And I'm not gonna lie, bro, I had forgotten all about Bravest Warriors. Total side tangent, by the way. Amazing show. I don't know what happened to it, but I'm assuming it's kind of like the similar situation, which is why he referenced it. But dang, bro, that one hit me in the gut, man. I'm not gonna lie. So if this is like a similar situation, it's gonna be pretty bad. I actually want to see how many people end up actually subscribing and, you know, going over to that service, and I want to see how they do in like a year from now. I don't know if they're gonna make enough to offset the cost of production, but if they do, maybe they're headed in the right direction. I just find it like really odd that a lot of people are kind of leaving YouTube and going off to start other stuff. Like not too long ago, we had MatPat leave, and I didn't even cover that, but man, huge loss. It's kind of bittersweet to see OGs that you've been watching since you were young kind of like move on, you get what I'm saying? And I feel like these guys who are from BuzzFeed Unsolved, you know, Ryan, Shane, and Steven, I feel like these guys were also a part of those group of people, or at least for me, like I can remember some off the top of my head right now that I used to watch growing up in middle school. It was the guys at BuzzFeed Unsolved, Berleezy, MatPat, Dashy, T Pendel, all those guys. And it's like when you haven't watched them for a while and you check back in on them in like a couple of years and you see what they're up to, and it's like they're kind of drifting away. They're not uploading as much. It's a sad sight to see. All in all, I do wish these guys the best, and hopefully they can continue to create the content that they want. It just sucks that they couldn't realize that the reason why people were watching them in the first place was because of their personalities and not because of the production. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for me today. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button. If you want more content similar to this, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one. Sub up, stay safe, and peace.